Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. It is Monday, so of course we're going to give some of our reactions to this week's action. So go ahead and take out your coffee, your delicious Michigan mug of coffee. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And good morning and welcome in everyone here in the chat. Stay rad, Donald Jelly of the month, and our fearless producer, Dustin. We're sitting pretty today. It's been a fantastic weekend, of course, Michigan fans. So getting to watch Michigan absolutely embarrass Ohio State, it really doesn't even get any better than that. I'd literally not even plan to watch the game. I was like, I'm just going to go enjoy the day with my grandfather, mom, grandma. We're going to go enjoy the mountains. Not even going to watch this thing. And then halftime comes around. I check my phone. Bing, bang, boom. Looking good. Get to catch the rest of the game. What a day. Just incredible. It's just nothing better than that, because I've always told myself growing up, and I don't know if Ohio State fans can maybe, relate to this, but growing up, especially my age, I'm 26. So growing up, it was always, I never really saw Michigan beat Ohio State. In fact, the one year they did when I was a kid, I had my own football game and actually missed the whole thing. So literally, I didn't watch Michigan beat Ohio State up until when they started, 4 years ago or whatever. And so it's been rough. I always told myself growing up, all I care about, Michigan could go 1-11 as long as that 1-11 out of those 11 losses is beating Ohio State. And man, we didn't necessarily have that, but it's pretty close to have such a bad season, but to beat Ohio State, that's all I care about. And I know, is Michigan making the playoffs? What's the rank now? I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. I really don't. It was a fun season, a successful season, I would add. And to, kind of ruin the Ohio State, it just feels so much sweeter. But, there's always next year, guys. Always next year. And before we get too far into it, I did want to go ahead and note, actually, this is a fun stuff. Stay rad, as he points out. I actually took home the Fast Draft Flex 6 Frenzy this week, the Week 13 Fast Draft DFS contest. Your boy Billy Joel Fan 87 actually took that thing home. Check it out. Check it out. Maybe. There it is. Sharing my screen. That's my team. And fun fact about this team, I joined the lobby and totally missed the draft and actually just came back to this team. And I entered 5 teams. This was the only one I didn't draft. The only one that I literally just missed the draft, and it won. So we take it. I have no advice from this. I wish I did, but does show that, hey, even if you take Josh Downs by accident, even if you yourself, the robot took Josh Downs for you, you don't even, even if a player that didn't even play in the week is in your lineup, you can still take home the tournament. And that's awesome, awesome, awesome news. So even more reason to play Fast Draft, and even more reason to learn about Fast Draft and the DFS contest that we've got going on.
Oh, incredible news about Fast Draft. Fast Draft DFS is live. It's called the Flex 6 Frenzy. You just draft 6 guys, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for the Sunday slate. You like Jahmyr Gibbs? You like Jackson Smith and Jigba? You like Tyrone Tracy? Draft him, draft him, draft him. And the beauty is you can just order 5 teams, submit your rankings, and Fast Draft will email you the results. We awarded $1,000 in prizes our first week, and we're just going up from there. Soon there's going to be a select 6. No drafting at all. You just pick any 6 guys. Our DFS mantra, just say no to salaries on Fast Draft. Don't forget there's free tools on Fast Draft too. You want to get ready for startup season? We've created the best Dynasty mock draft experience there is. And if you want to play in these DFS contests, and our best ball contest for 2025 are coming very soon too, just use promo code PODFATHER when you deposit and you get a free draft. It's that easy. And you're like, oh, I already have Fast Draft. Great. Refer a friend. Have them put your username in as the promo code, and then you and your friend will both get an instant deposit match up to $25. We got DFS. We got Dynasty Mocks. We got Best Ball. It's all there for you on fastdraft.app. Check it out. And the promo code is PODFATHER.
Definitely go check out Fast Draft. It really is incredible. Use that promo code PODFATHER. Get that first draft. Or use, Billy Joel Fan 87. You get a first deposit up to $25. So as we get to big fan, as we get into this, as we get back, we do always have to go to the injuries, of course. Unfortunately, as this gladiator sport that we so enjoy, there are always injuries. And so here we go. Keenan Allen picked up an ankle injury, was able to return though, so that's just something to kind of monitor throughout the week. Same kind of thing with Baker Mayfield. He picked up a lower leg injury in this contest. Kyle Trask actually even came in, but he was able to come back and, in fact, of course, win in an awesome fashion. So definitely monitor that, but seems he'll be fine. He always kind of plays through things. Otherwise, Trevor Lawrence did kind of get a super concussion, if you will, a very dirty hit taken out of the game. Hopefully not ending his season, but definitely something to keep our eye on. It was really, really bad. Hard to watch stuff for Trevor Lawrence, so we will be monitoring that over the week. Ladd McConkey also picked up a knee injury. Hopefully nothing too serious, but the concerns are definitely there. Dalton Schultz also had a shoulder injury after his big day. Hunter Henry picked up a concussion. Hopefully fine. It seems that dude always gets concussed. DK Metcalf, yet another injury. Yet another injury for DK Metcalf to go ahead and monitor. Taysom Hill picked up a knee injury. Seems to be season ending from what the concerns are around town, if you will. So that's something to keep our eye on for sure. That was very painful. You do not want to see that for Taysom Hill, especially as he had just kind of caught on over the last couple of weeks and was helping a lot of people's tight end spot, myself included in this Scott Fishbowl. Seems though that my Scott Fishbowl season's over anyway, so hey, whatever. But hopefully Taysom Hill will be back for next year. It kind of sucks with him being – my concern with Taysom Hill is just the fact that he is up there in age and such a unique player that really any injury at this point, I hope it doesn't derail his career, but we will keep our eye on that. Dallas Goedert, knee injury as well. Always a knee injury. Always a knee injury for this guy, as well as Christian McCaffrey, who unfortunately, this one was, I guess it was non-contact. I mean, he wasn't touched yet, wasn't quite tackled yet, and did fall. So it seems that Christian McCaffrey is out for the season. It does. It's based on everything we're hearing, it's very unfortunate. We do have some more takeaways from that. Not really a takeaway, but we will be talking about the 49ers and kind of their collapse, as you could tell by the thumbnail later today. It seems that Christian McCaffrey's injury will be a big part of that. For those of you that held on to Jordan Mason and Isaac Orendo, this is why you did it, right? You just couldn't drop those players, even if Christian McCaffrey is back, because you just never know. It's just so unfortunate, so unlucky. And yeah, we will have to monitor that over the next few weeks. And yeah, Christian McCaffrey. Very, very sad. Those are some of the bigger injuries from the week. There's also like Demarcus Robinson, Rashad Bateman, Noah Brown, Parker Washington, Calvin Austin. But for the most part, those are the ones you care about. Let's get into the takeaways. And we're going to start with our first one and shout out our fearless producer, Dustin Royer, the king, the man himself, put together this awesome little thing for Brock Bowers wearing the crown. And, there's debate, or not necessarily debate, but, everyone's just like, this player's him anytime something happens. And I just want to crown the him. And it's Brock Bowers. He's the him. If there is a him, it's Brock Bowers. It is miraculous what he's put together this season. It is absolutely phenomenal what Brock Bowers is putting together this season. And he just doesn't stop. 14 targets, 10 receptions, 140 yards in this game against the Chiefs, against Travis Kelce, the new Kelce against the old Kelce, if you will. And he's just phenomenal. He's just incredible. Every single game this year, he's just getting it done. 14 targets in this one, 10 targets last week, 16 targets before that. Touchdown, 4 touchdowns, 884 yards, 84 receptions so far this year. Those 84 receptions only through week 13. 84 receptions. Why is that important? Sam Laporta set the record last year for most receptions by a rookie tight end in a season, and that was 86. We still have 5 more weeks of football, and Brock Bowers is already about to break the receptions record by a rookie tight end. We still have 5 more weeks of football, and he's already top 5 in receiving yards in a season by a rookie tight end with 884. He has 884. Last year, Sam Laporta had 889. That's 4th. 3rd is Jeremy Shockey with 894. And then there's only 2 that have had over 1,000, Kyle Pitts and Mike Ditka, 1026 and 1076, respectively. So 5 more weeks of football. Brock Bowers about 200 yards away from breaking the record of most receiving yards by a tight end in their rookie season. It really doesn't get much better than this. It really doesn't get much better than this. I am ashamed of myself for thinking it would take some time, at least a season for him to get out there. But he was so good. Like, you have to understand, guys. Brock Bowers was so good immediately. He was so good immediately that Devontae Adams got traded away. That they were just like, let's get rid of this Hall of Fame caliber wide receiver. Just ship him away and just keep giving the ball to Brock Bowers. It's really just incredible. It's just incredible. So really congratulations to everyone that stood firm, even in Superflex leagues, drafting him ahead of even like Michael Penix, Bo Nix, right? I mean, like, I don't even know if you could really be that upset if you took Brock Bowers over a JJ McCarthy, a Bo Nix, even in these Superflex drafts of Michael Penix, right? Like, it's just phenomenal, especially if it's tight end premium. What a guy. What a guy. So he's the him. I don't think there should be any debate anymore. The him. Not that there was much debate. But Brock Bowers, shout out to you, man. I know the Raiders lose this game, but kind of the season, but that doesn't really matter for them. The fact that they've got such a stud, and I mean, they're doing it with Aiden O'Connell, right? I mean, Aiden O'Connell, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. First game back from injury. So, I mean, hey, even Aiden O'Connell deserves a small round of applause. AOC, baby. So, hey, shout out Raiders, shout out Brock Bowers. But I want to talk about the Chiefs for a second, as one of my other takeaways is the fact that you can probably buy Isaiah Pacheco still. Let me know what you think. But as we talk about a lot here, like, just because, a player's price has gotten more expensive doesn't mean for a fact that the buy window is closed. And when I look at Isaiah Pacheco, of course, missed the last few weeks with like a broken leg, essentially. Comes back, 7 carries for 44 yards, which is nothing, right? Like, it's nothing, right? 4.4 fantasy points. Gets 1 reception. So I guess, 5.9 with that 5 yards, right? If it's a full PPR. But nothing. And it kind of hurts, right? Even when you look and you see Kareem Hunt also 7 carries. So there's a case like someone out there like might say, like, oh, okay, like Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt are splitting carries. That's just how it's going to be. And not necessarily look a little bit further and just saying, like, this was Isaiah Pacheco's first game. This is the beginning, right? Like, Isaiah Pacheco is going to continue to peel away from Kareem Hunt, especially if he's going to average 6 yards a carry in his first game back from such an injury. So I would say buy Isaiah Pacheco. He had a quiet game, but a very, very, very bullish game, in my opinion, to average 6 yards a carry in your first game back from injury, to have more touches than Kareem Hunt. That's all I need to see. Now, of course, Kareem Hunt did get more targets, which we'll see how that plays out, but we have seen Isaiah Pacheco used in the passing game before, so I think that'll develop too. I would just expect Isaiah Pacheco to continue to eat into Kareem Hunt's usage and go back to Isaiah Pacheco, honestly, sooner rather than later. If he's going to do that much better. Kareem Hunt only averaging 2 yards a carry, Isaiah Pacheco 6. That's pretty easy for me if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, especially as they're just not looking as good, right? They just keep finding themselves in these close games. So, yeah, I would say the buy window for Isaiah Pacheco is still open. I am definitely confident in what I saw from him in this game. And while we're here, I think we can all agree, right? I hope. Let me know. Do you also agree that the Chiefs are totally losing their first playoff game? They're probably not even making the AFC Championship. And if they do, they're losing the AFC Championship. They just can't keep getting this lucky. They just can't. They're going to lose eventually, and it's probably just going to happen in the playoffs to some random team, not even like the Bills, right? Like, not even one of these powerhouses. They're going to lose to a team they probably shouldn't. They're going to lose in the playoffs. It's over for them. They're not getting the three-peat. Even as good as they're playing right now, they're not even playing well. Even as good as they look on paper based on their record, they're not doing it. I think we can all agree there. And while Ladd McConkey picked up an injury, I just want to take a second to just say, from Ladd to man. He was but a wee lad heading into the season, but a wee rookie. But he is a man now, and it's just incredible what he's putting together as well. In this game, 12 targets, 9 receptions, 117 yards. No touchdowns, and that's kind of always going to end up being kind of the concern with him, was where if he can get the touchdowns, he's going to get the targets, he's going to get the receptions, and likely as that becomes the yards. But still, we've seen some games from him this season too with touchdowns. He has a 2 touchdown game this year. And over the last 3 weeks, doesn't have a game with less than double digits, right? So in this game, of course, he gets it done. Last week, 14 points. The week before that, 18 points. And those are all without touchdowns. So he finally has, I would say, arrived. I mean, we always knew he would. We weren't necessarily expecting him to bust or anything like that. He was a very good prospect. The concerns with him was definitely more so the health and maybe the touchdowns if this offense was going to be pass heavy or anything. But we knew that Justin Herbert was going to be awesome. And he has been, this game kind of returned to the floor a little bit, but still, Ladd McConkey gets there. I mean, think about this, right? 9 receptions, 117 yards. Quentin Johnston is next with 2 receptions for 12 yards. Like, just absolute dominance in terms of the share of targets, receptions, yards even. Total dominance. So shout out Ladd McConkey from Lad to Man. And this Chargers backfield, I mean, this was going to be a tough matchup against Atlanta on the ground. But Hassan Haskins did lose a fumble. And so that probably clears it out a little bit. Probably just has to clear it out just a tiny bit in terms of what it means for how it's going to be split up. Hassan Haskins, there was a small bit of worry. Not necessarily here. We were definitely more Kamani Vidal, more Gus Edwards, if anything, type people. But still, Hassan Haskins losing that fumble should mean it's just going to be Kamani Vidal and Gus Edwards going forward. Although it's just not going to be that like, you're going to want the touchdowns. You're going to want the touchdowns. That's all that really matters here. And that's probably not going to come. That's probably not going to come. And that's why we've talked about kind of like Gus Edwards is just fine. Like, you don't really want him because he's not really getting you that many points. You kind of just want to roster Kamani Vidal and just hold him on your bench and hope something happens, because I bet he has juice if he ever gets a full opportunity. But for now, still kind of getting nothing, only 4 carries for 20 yards, but getting more clear as Hassan Haskins lost a fumble. And while we're here talking about the Falcons, I do just want to say, I don't think I've ever been more right about anything ever in my life. Because immediately, my literal immediate reaction when we got the Kirk Cousins news was to come on here and complain and call it the most Atlanta Falcons move ever. And what I meant by that was the fact that it's going to make sense, right? Like, it's going to play out. Like, things are going to look good. Kirk Cousins is going to look good. The Falcons are going to look good. They're probably going to be in contention for the playoffs, maybe make the playoffs. But it's all going to come crashing down at some point. And it's going to bite them in the ass. And we're just watching it unfold. 3 straight losses, and Kirk Cousins in this game, 4 interceptions with no touchdowns. It sucks, but it was always going to be the case. The Atlanta Falcons can't have anything. And they made it even, they at least kind of saved themselves, right? Like, they got all of this hate, really, for drafting Michael Penix, but they probably knew deep down themselves that Kirk Cousins wasn't going to pan out either. And my take was that they would probably lose in the wild card. And now they're not even on track to make the wild card because of the Buccaneers. It's painful. I mean, they won all their divisional games. Well, except for the Saints up until recently. They were doing well in the division until they started collapsing. And again, I have never been more right about this. Like, I knew it would be fun, it would be good, but I also knew that it wouldn't help the Falcons and that it would all collapse at some point, and that's what we're trending towards. I mean, the leading receiver in this contest was Ray McCloud. At least Bijan Robinson got us points, but 0, a big fat 0 from Kyle Pitts. Darnell Mooney, floor game. Drake London, a mid game. I mean, it's just painful to watch. Should have been a fun game too, and it just wasn't. Which also we talked about as well when we previewed this game. It's just the Falcons and the Chargers are the same team. This game is just going to suck. It's just going to suck. Well, I thought the Falcons would win. But whatever, it just did. But, of course they wouldn't win. It's the Falcons. Because they're even more of the Falcons than the Chargers are. And so with Tampa probably taking over the division at this point, with Kirk Cousins playing as he is, I mean, it's not just this game, right? 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this week. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception last week. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception the week before that. It's been abysmal. And I see this question here from Charlene. Do I need to pick up Michael Penix Jr.? And my take is probably still going to remain firm at this point. We'll see how it develops, right? But I do probably expect the Falcons to ride with Kirk Cousins through the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to give up on the division. I mean, they're basically tied for it. So I think they're going to keep throwing Kirk Cousins out there. But, a lot of people have been expecting Kirk Cousins to start next year. not ever really here on Wake and Take. I don't think that they ever would have spent that kind of draft capital on that old of a quarterback to make him sit too long. But next year, it's probably going to be Michael Penix. This year, I think they're on a roll with Kirk Cousins, even if they just continue to lose. Maybe even to save his trade value, see if they could get something for him to like the Cowboys or something like that. But yeah, I don't believe Kirk Cousins is going to quarterback the Falcons next year. In terms of picking up Michael Penix this year, we have been recommending it, right? Not necessarily for Kirk Cousins getting benched, although that is now becoming a possibility. But because Kirk Cousins could also get injured. Again, gladiator sport. Players get hurt all the time, especially old quarterbacks coming off Achilles injury. So Michael Penix definitely worth kind of, stashing in Superflex, but it's still more of a dynasty play. I don't really think that he's going to play much this year. Still only a few more weeks, right? But still, Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons doing the most Kirk Cousins and Atlanta Falcons thing. I mean, it was right in front of us the whole time, too. I mean, it's not like Kirk Cousins has ever won a playoff game. It just never made any sense. I get why they tried it, but it never made any sense from the Falcons' perspective. And it sucks to see it crumble because it was so good and fun for a second there. But of course we couldn't enjoy it. It's the Atlanta Falcons. And an important lesson can come from that. Not just the Atlanta Falcons, but this next team as we lead into this. And the fact that remains that the Falcons got rid of Arthur Smith because, he wasn't really a good head coach. Say what you want about him as a coordinator, especially now as he is really firing up in Pittsburgh. Arthur Smith is firing it up in Pittsburgh, and I just want to apologize to Russell Wilson. I spent probably a million seconds this offseason calling Russell Wilson washed, saying he was done, blah, 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 and it's an important lesson. It takes two to tango. And unfortunately in Denver, and we'll watch this game tonight, should be fun for the Broncos, Russell Wilson was just not a good match for Sean Payton in that Broncos offense. He just wasn't. And I just thought he was totally washed. I didn't think there was much of a reason to think otherwise. In fact, even over the last couple of weeks, we saw the cracks start to form. At least I thought. I was like, man, all he's doing is throwing hospital balls to George Pickens. People are going to catch on at some point, but no. He's going to get it done. 400 yards, 3 touchdowns against this Bengals team. Pulls off a massive divisional win. Gets Pat Freiermuth finally a good game. George Pickens gets there. Jaylen Warren out of the backfield. Najee Harris, mega game after we said to sit him, of course. So the Jaylen Warren resurgence was overstated. But Russell Wilson deserves an apology and deserves his flowers and deserves an applause. What a performance. He's killing it. Doing everything he can. Him and Justin Fields both. I mean, I'm very curious how the Steelers play this quarterback room next year. Very curious to see how the Steelers play the quarterback room next year. But as of right now, Russell Wilson is just killing it. And like I said, I just want to apologize to him. I thought he was washed. In fact, I thought he was washed up until last week. Even still, I was like, he's fine, but this just can't last forever. This isn't sustainable. No, bing, bang, boom, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns against a pretty stingy Bengals defense. Shout out to him. Shout out to Arthur Smith. And I feel so bad for the Bengals. I feel so bad for the Bengals. You guys know it. We talked about it like week 5 or something like that. I was like, something to me tells me the Bengals, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to get hot. They're going to win the Super Bowl even. They're just going to go crazy. Get hot at the right time. They're just so competitive. Like, they can't keep losing all these games. Turns out they can keep losing all these games. They are probably the best 4-8 team ever. And it hurts my soul because who doesn't want the Cincinnati Bengals to win? Who doesn't want the Cincinnati Bengals to succeed? 28-38, 309 yards and 3 touchdowns from Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase, 86 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 69 yards and a touchdown. Andre Yoshivas in the end zone. Chase Brown in the end zone. I mean, like, the Bengals are doing everything they can. And they just can't win. It's so sad to watch. Even to you, Alex, admit it. Admit it. Even you, the Ravens fan, admit it. Admit it. The Bengals, there's just no reason to hate the Bengals. There's just no reason. They've got the coolest uniforms. They've got Joe Shiesty. They've got Jamar Chase. And they're just not winning, and it's so sad because I want them in the playoffs. I think they would kill it in the playoffs. I think they would. Or they would lose, in an awesome, epic fashion. And it just pains me. It just pains me that they're this good, but just not winning. And kind of the same for the Cardinals, although luckily for the Cardinals, this division seems to kind of be falling into their lap, but they're playing well, but they just can't close out these games, falling to now 6-6, losing to Sam Darnold's Vikings. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about the Cardinals. It seems like everything seems like it should be there, and it's like always just almost there. And you even get, you're happy with it. Like Trey McBride, especially 12 of 12 for 96 yards, crushed it in tight end premium. Marvin Harrison Jr., we called that one. Touchdown, 60 yards, we take that. James Conner getting all the volume, but never finding the end zone. Kyler Murray getting the rushing yards, but for some reason never finding the end zone. It doesn't really make sense to me. But at least they're still kind of winning the division. Unfortunately, though, we do have to do a little bit of a rest in peace for Trey Benson. It does seem that James Conner is holding on, not only for this season, but in the future as well, as he did sign an extension over the weekend. So it's James Conner season again in Arizona. So I guess hold on to him if you held on to him. Get Trey Benson as well on the discount. You still might as well. There's no reason not to. And I do want to say, while I'm on that subject, maybe also get Josh Jacobs, as it seems all the running backs now that we thought would not get a second extension are. So get Josh Jacobs at the discount as well. But yeah, rip Trey Benson. And I am curious what the Vikings are going to do with Sam Darnold. Because Sam Darnold just keeps getting it done, guys. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions here. In fact, game winner, right? Goes down, drives, wins it. Justin Jefferson doing his thing. Jordan Addison doing his thing. Not sure what's happening with TJ Hawkinson, but Sam Darnold is doing it. And I'm very curious to see what they do, especially with JJ McCarthy coming off the injury. Like, do they just re-sign Sam Darnold and do what we thought would happen this season, where Sam Darnold plays for a little bit and then they pull the plug when they feel JJ's ready? I'm really not sure. Does he go somewhere else? I still maintain that Sam Darnold doesn't do well somewhere else, but does he go somewhere else? I don't know. Just want to watch that. That's really my only takeaway from that game in terms of the Vikings. We did have a good game in in New England. The Colts, Patriots. We were excited for this one. The Battle of A-Rich, the Battle of Drake May. And we got probably exactly what we expected, really. 50% completions from Anthony Richardson, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, the 50-50 experience, but also finds the end zone rushing, which is just awesome. 9 carries, 48 yards, and a touchdown. We take that every single day of the week, winning by 1. But Drake May gets it done too, right? 238 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception, 59 rush yards as well. So both of them good games. Anthony Richardson comes out on top, and that's how it should be. That's just how it should be. The Patriots need a better draft pick. And I'm just going to keep saying bye Drake May, because Drake May needs a wide receiver. So bad. Every box score, every single week for the Patriots is just Hunter Henry this, Hunter Henry that, Austin Hooper, Kayshon Boutte. With them having this high of a draft pick, I'm very excited for Drake May's future. Buy Drake May still. Even with him playing well, even with his value going up and up and up, still buy him, because it's only going to get better. Because he's playing this well without weapons, and they keep losing in very close fashion. So they look good, they're playing well, and all they need is just an extra push, and it's going to come in the draft, be a wide receiver. So get Drake May still, it's awesome. And just shout out the Colts for pulling the plug when they did. They should have never pulled the plug on Anthony Richardson. They should have let him keep developing. But Anthony Richardson kind of getting it done as well, so shout out to him. Honestly, the next game, Seahawks-Jets, not too much to talk about. Really, at the end of the day, I was sad about the Zach Charbonnet touchdown vulture. I mean, Kenneth Walker had a bad day. I would have loved that touchdown. Absolutely would have loved it. But really not much to say, to be honest. I mean, DK Metcalf, another injury, he was fine. Jackson Smith and Jigba, not a lot of volume, but actually gets it done, so that's good news. Aaron Rodgers bounced back. Breece Hall, fine. Really not too much to say, but shout out Devontae Adams for his touchdown. We'll move on, though, because this Commanders-Titans game was a fun one. And I ask a question. We say every year, right, and especially this year I've been saying it, that there's going to be some random-ass running back that no one's really talking about, that's going to end up being the league winner, and one's starting to form for me, and it's looking like Chris Rodriguez, ? Chris Rodriguez, league winner? Hear me out. And I know that his 13 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown, a lot of it's going to be game script. The Commanders actually absolutely gave it to the Titans. But I also just want to remember that, Austin Eckler was getting touches as well. So I don't think that that's an anomaly. It's going to be Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez Jr. And he averaged 7 yards a carry. That is not too shabby. And Jay Daniels, he's going to freeze linebackers, as people say, right? As they say. So those running lanes are going to continue to be open, and there's a room for a second running back in this offense, as we've seen all season. So Chris Rodriguez Jr., if he's available, I would pick him up this week. I wouldn't mind bidding up, but you might not have to, as Brian Robinson's still healthy. So everyone's kind of looking at him as more of a handcuff, not necessarily a priority ad. But there is volume to be had, and Brian Robinson's been banged up all season. He has literally been playing through injury after injury after injury after injury. So I'm looking at Chris Rodriguez with my eyebrows raised. I'm going to be honest with you. I would recommend picking him up. We'll talk about him on the waiver wire episode tomorrow. But Chris Rodriguez looking like a league winner, and so is, of course, Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, I had to double-check this. He's the wide receiver 4 in PPR now, the wide receiver 2 in standard. It's incredible. Just an incredible season from him. 2 touchdowns again. He has multiple 2-touchdown games. He has a game this year with 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. I just don't get it. 8 receptions, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just got to say. Claps, claps, claps for Terry McLaurin. What a year from him. And what a year from, of course, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Glad they get back on track as he solidifies Jaden Daniels, of course, his rookie offensive rookie of the year kind of run. He's locking it in, but Bo Nix will have something to say tonight against that tough Browns defense. Now, the Titans, though. The Titans. We talked about starting Will Levis, and he gave you a good game. I was hoping to be a little bit better. I'm not going to lie. But we'll take 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. We'll take that. We talked about flexing Nick Westbrook-Akine, 3 receptions, 61 yards, 2 tutties. The guy just finds the end zone. So what a pickup. I mean, he's just going to be consistent. I don't really get it, but he is, and we just have to take it for what it is. We just have to accept it. Nick Westbrook-Akine is good. And Will Levis is good too. We talked about him for weeks. We said never give up on him. This is why. He's keeping his job. He'll be the quarterback next year. And again, a loss. So they'll get a higher draft pick. Shout out Will Levis and the Titans for that. And shout out Nick Westbrook-Akine. And then this Jaguars game, we just have to say rest in peace to Trevor Lawrence. I can't believe that happened. I mean, I can believe that happened, but that was rough. I hope he's okay. I'm sure we'll have more updates throughout the week, but that was painful. Working back from an injury for basically a lost season, to just get injured in a way like that, that's just awful. Like, seriously awful. So I don't know what to say. But for fantasy football, Mac McCorkle-Jones looking better. 20 of 32, 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr., 76 yards and a touchdown. Parker Washington, 103 yards and a touchdown. We've got ourselves another Tom Savage corollary test. Rest of the season, right? We saw it kind of develop. It was 6 points, 3 points, but then we had 13 points from Brian Thomas Jr. with Mac Jones. So I think that it's going to be fine. I think we've got another Tom Savage corollary on our hands. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is someone you could start confidently rest of season. And before we move on, just got to, of course, play the applause sounder. If you go watch that hit on Trevor Lawrence, Evan Ingram was quick. Snap of a finger to fight Aziz Al-Shair. Just immediately went after him after the hit. So shout out to Evan Ingram for getting that done. Big man. That's what it's all about, backing up the quarterback. And on the Texans, as dirty as that hit was, shout out CJ Stroud, of course, kind of having a fine game. Shout out Joe Mixon for keeping it going. But just Nico Collins. We say it every week, but the dude's just a stud. Just a stud. In this game, 8 receptions for 119 yards. And just keeps it going. 20 points last week, 9 points, 15, 33, 12, 27, 17 all season. Just consistently producing after production, after production, after production. So shout out Nico Collins. What a stud. He's elite. He's an elite wide receiver. He's awesome. And I was hopeful that we had 2 elite wide receivers in Los Angeles. I was hopeful that Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp could produce every single week. And unfortunately, we got a floor game for Cooper Kupp. We can find some solace in the fact that Cooper Kupp did have 6 targets, but he only brought in 3 of them for 17 yards, no touchdowns. We hate to see the floor game. It was looking like he could produce week in, week out alongside Puka Nacua. It seems that's not the case. I mean, the case is still more than likely they both will, but, it had seemed that there wasn't really going to be a floor game for either one. And now that, of course, comes into question Puka Nacua as well. Like next week, watch us have a Cooper Kupp good game, bad Puka Nacua game. And that's just concerning. We don't want that. We want elite wide receivers everywhere. I was hopeful we would. Seems we don't have it. Seems consistently, more often than not, it'll be that way. But it just sucked to see the floor game. But for the Saints, another rest in peace. Taysom Hill. Lots of season-ending injuries at this point of the year, given how close we are to the end of the year. But this might have been season-ending anyway. Taysom Hill also playing through injuries a lot this season. So my heart goes out to him. I'm hopeful with the Taysom Hill one that this isn't career-altering. It seems Trevor Lawrence will, of course, be fine. But Taysom Hill, with his age, play style, position, whatever he is, seeing injuries and these types of injuries pop up for him is just never good. So I'm hopeful that he'll be okay. I really am. But it's definitely something we're going to have to monitor. We'll see. But we do at least have to shout out Alvin Kamara, who's just going to be the Saints offense rest of season. If you have him, you have a league winner. If he can stay healthy. I mean, it seems New Orleans is cursed. But hey, Alvin Kamara going to get everything. 23 carries in this one. 4 receptions. Taysom Hill had 5 receptions. So watch Alvin Kamara get like one of those double-digit receptioners sooner rather than later. Shout out to him. And then just shout out MVS. I think this is 3 straight games now with a touchdown in New Orleans. Just gets it done. I can't believe it. I mean, I don't know what it took, right? Like, why is it that it took Derek Carr to be unlocked? I don't really understand. But shout out MVS. And another NFC South team to move on to is now the Buccaneers. And that Mike Evans 1,000-yard season, it is still on the menu. It is still very much on the menu. A lot of doubters came out last week after he only had 60 yards or whatever. But this week he gets 118, gets the game-winning touchdown. Incredible performance from Mike Evans. The 1,000 yards is still back on the menu. He just needs to get about 100 yards a game. And that's fine when there's no one else on your team catching passes, at least in the wide receiver room. So, hey, Mike Evans, still a stud, still a guy that you're going to want on your team rest of season. 1,000 yards, he's going to keep it up. I think he will. Get him. And shout out Bucky Irving as well. This is a league winner. 25 carries, 150 yards and a touchdown, 3 receptions as well. Rashad White just keeps getting used less and less and less. And Bucky Irving just keeps getting used more and more and more. And keeps playing better, better, and better. So Bucky Irving, he's legit and was the league winner. Like, if you got him, you're over the moon. Shout out Bucky Irving. And shout out Bryce Young for getting what should have been a game-winning touchdown. Falcons fans everywhere were so excited when they get that touchdown to Adam Thielen. Texted my home league, Bryce Young is him. And of course they lose, but man, good game. Again, this guy is building. There's reason to have some confidence in Bryce Young. 26-46, 298 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. Adam Thielen gets there. Tommy Tremble, Xavier Legette, fine games. David Moore, Chuba Hubbard. Bryce Young even has the rushing touchdown. That's what you want to see. And we talked about buying him a lot here, so I hope you kind of did it some super flex. I mean, there's no reason not to. It was incredibly cheap. So shout out Bryce Young and the Panthers. They're probably happy they lost anyway, right? Help their draft pick, but cool to give that confidence boost to Bryce Young, even if they lose the game. Just the fact to go down the field and do that, that's going to help him a lot and just help this team find themselves. So let's go, Bryce Young. And shout out our fearless producer, Dustin. We do the little compilation on TikTok. Everyone gives their starts of the week. I gave Mike Evans, so we'll take it. And Dustin, bold. You don't have to be bold on these. He went bold. And he gave Bryce Young. You said, you got to start Bryce Young this week. And man, was he right. Shout out Dustin. Good stuff from him. And my next game, this Eagles-Ravens. As you guys know, I've been kind of pining for that to be the Super Bowl. I was like, why wouldn't the Eagles-Ravens be the Super Bowl this year? That's awesome. Derrick Henry versus Saquon, Lamar versus Hurts. That's got the makings of an instant classic all over it. And it was a good game. But that's kind of all it was. It was just a good game, 24-19. Wasn't a great game by any means. Saquon Barkley still gets there. Derrick Henry, a fine game, but no touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, good, 237, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, fine, a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown at least. But it was just a good game. I was hoping for more. So, Mark, wherever you are, I will say sorry. I no longer want the Eagles-Ravens Super Bowl. I kind of want, like, Bills-Lions now. I think I want, like, the Bills-Lions. Why not that one? So, we got our Eagles-Ravens. It was fine. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And now I don't really want that to be the Super Bowl. Sorry, Mark. And our final takeaway as we talk about Bills going to the Super Bowl now instead of the Ravens. Screw the Ravens. I don't want this anymore. I want the Bills there. I mean, just what a team. Josh Allen's just a stud. 2 touchdowns. First touchdown to have a passing, rushing, and receiving touchdown in a game. Hilarious stuff. James Cook absolutely cooked. Ray Davis cooked. Dawson Knox cooked. Just a fun one from the Bills, and we love to see it. 35-10. Honestly, nothing really much to say about the Bills besides let's go. Good game by them. And rest in peace to the San Francisco 49ers. It's over. Now 5-7, 3 straight losses. Brock Purdy clearly hurt. Christian McCaffrey definitely injured. There's just nothing there. It's not happening. It sucks. It's going to be a different NFC team. Hopefully the Lions. Hopefully not the Eagles versus Ravens. Not anymore. But definitely not the 49ers. It's over. We can go ahead and pour one out for the San Francisco 49ers as they look onward to 2025 alongside the Atlanta Falcons. And that will do it, everyone. Those were my takeaways and reactions. Going to answer just a few questions, not a ton of them. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I got a good question here, just kind of about your team. It looks like you are 9-4, late trade deadline. Do you think Jamar Chase's value is still good without anything to play for in Cincinnati? That's a great question. And I hate having to answer these types of questions. Poor phrasing. I love being able to answer these questions in terms of my position, but I just hate like that thought process. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that we do have to think about that is what I'm trying to say. Is like, will the Bengals, like, does Jamar Chase care? Do the Bengals care? Do they want to risk a long-term injury? And the answer to that is probably not, right? Like, they probably don't. And I do think it's valid to be concerned, but they don't necessarily usually bench players either. And they do still care about their stats and kind of have a pride thing. So he's going to be out there. If you have him, I guess is maybe the question you're asking. I wouldn't mind putting him on the block if this is redraft, which I think it is, and just seeing what you can get offered. That's how I would approach it. If you can get a king's ransom and a half, then you just take it. Otherwise, it still probably makes more sense to play Jamar Chase. Like, they're not going to bench him. I would be surprised if they benched him. Maybe like week 18 or something like that. Or like if they're totally eliminated. But they're going to keep fighting just because they're the Bengals, and that's what they do. Will Guerrero split carries with Jordan Mason? It sure looked like it, and I think he should. So I hope so, and I think he will. Wow, you traded CMC last week. Great timing. Great timing. How do you even attempt to offer for Brock Bowers? I don't know. Like 2-3 firsts, maybe. You've got to offer so much. I would just not. I think whoever has him, I would just wait. If they put him on the block, then you could swoop in and see what they want. But yeah, I don't know. Shout out Hubbard and Pitts for selling me. Same. Same. And let's see. We'll find one more in here. Where's a good one? Oh, I think I actually got all of them anyway. Never mind. Cool. Oh, no. Here we go. Do I drop Justin Tucker for Bates or the Bills? Yeah. Get Bates. Justin Tucker can't kick field goals, it seems. It's crazy. So, yeah, definitely. Just do it. Oh, what are you getting for Jordan Mason? Hopefully, honestly, if from a contender might honestly pay it first, I'm sure. Maybe I would take a second though. I wouldn't mind trying to get out from him and just trying to get something. And then what would you pay? I would say Drake May is a top 10 dynasty quarterback, so you just got to pay up. Cool. All right, guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe on the way out. You all have a magnificent Monday and a wonderful rest of your week. I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern here on the Player Profiler YouTube. Have a good one. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.